Welcome to the latest episode of Hospitality History. In this episode, we'll be delving into the debates surrounding attempts to restrict the careers of barmaids in Victorian hotels. Our focus will be on the little-known labor issues that were at the forefront of these debates and how they have shaped the modern hotel industry. In the late 19th century, barmaids were seen as a social problem in Britain and its colonies. Women were starting to enter non-traditional occupations in large numbers, and the public discourse was focused on what constituted appropriate work for women. Surprisingly, certain types of hotel work were deemed unsuitable for women, while others were considered highly suitable. The barmaid, in particular, had been defined as a social problem. Most explanations for the barmaid problem have centered around moral and social issues, linking the debate to the rise of the temperance movement. However, the barmaid issue was just as much about labor supply considerations as it was about social issues. Male hotel workers were deliberately trying to secure exclusive rights to higher status, higher paid positions within the bar, while confining women to lesser positions. Women's role in the preparation and service of food and beverage made them particularly well-suited to hotel work, and the early history of innkeeping in Britain highlights a long tradition of women occupying key roles as brewers and innkeepers. Between 1880 and 1908, there were numerous attempts to control women's participation rates in the hotel industry. After several unsuccessful attempts to prohibit hotels from employing female bar staff, reformers focused on controlling hotel work through limitations on working hours and conditions. Interestingly, the legislation almost exclusively dealt with barmaids, despite persistent debate about the appropriateness of table service as a career for women. There were no parallel attempts to introduce legislation to control waitresses or any other hotel work for women. At the national level, regulatory reform met with limited success, with two bills introduced in Parliament in 1896 and 1908 both being defeated narrowly. However, at the regional level, the story was different. In Glasgow, being a barmaid was a big no-no, as the city made it a condition for license renewal to not employ them. Manchester followed suit, but the colonies, such as New Zealand and Australia, had mixed success in their efforts. Why work in a factory or as a domestic servant when you can be a barmaid and have all the fun? The work was less tiring than breaking rocks, and your workplace was just the right amount of fancy. Plus, with wages being just a little higher than being a maid, you could make a pretty penny. But the real moneymaker was the sweet, sweet tips. With a barmaid making 10.15 a week and a manageress making 12.38, it's no wonder barmaids could double their income just from the kindness of strangers. And let's not forget about the occasional gift of wine or chocolates, which could easily be resold to the manageress for cold, hard cash. Oh, and gifts of clothing and discounts on clothing from retail clients? Those were just the cherry on top. Not only was the pay better, but the barmaids got a week's paid leave and free board and lodging. No more being tied down to a master's house, barmaids had the freedom to do as they pleased during their off time. The publicans were clamoring to hire young girls, and the middle classes were struggling to find servants. So why not trade in that broom for a bar rag and join the barmaid revolution? It was a job that offered better pay, better conditions, and most importantly, more autonomy. But it wasn't all roses, with shifts starting between 6 and 9 in the morning and ending at midnight. The majority of barmaids were expected to work 7 days a week, with only a half day off and one free Sunday each month. Despite variations among individual hotels, this was the general trend. In larger hotels, multiple bar attendants were employed, and the early shift was rotated among employees. All staff were given 3 meal breaks of 40 minutes to 1 hour, as well as an hour for dressing, and many rested for 3 to 4 hours during the afternoon. However, this break could be forgone during busy times. The relay system, where teams of barmaids changed shifts every 8 to 10 hours, was uncommon and mainly found in larger hotels such as Spears and Ponds and railway refreshment rooms. In smaller hotels and rural hotels, barmaids tended to work longer hours. On average, barmaids worked 70 hours a week, with some sources citing 105 hours as the norm. The long hours worked by hotel employees, including barmaids, were a major grievance among both men and women. Many licensed victualers preferred women as bar attendants due to their perceived advantages such as being cheaper, less wasteful, and less prone to drinking and other vices compared to men. Despite this, the Barmaids Union was not as established as the Barmen's Union, and barmaids lacked representation. The Barmen's Union pressed for a ceiling on the hours for barmaids, which was seen as a hidden agenda by some. The 60-hour maximum would force employers to adopt a relay system, which would require more staff. However, few employers would have been able to supply the necessary quarters for 2 shifts of permanent staff. Most barmen did not live in and would have had an advantage over women. Reducing the hours for barmaids would also have reduced the wages differential between men and women, making female labor less attractive. The displacement of females due to reduced hours was widely discussed within the industry. Some publicans believed that they could still manage with 1 shift of barmaids if hours were reduced to 74, but this figure did not suit the barman. In order to make employment of barmaids unattractive to hotel keepers, the barman argued for a substantially lower figure of 60 hours as a ceiling for females. Barmen had good reason to fear that their jobs were threatened by female labor. During the Crimean War, many hotel keepers began to employ women. But even amongst the barmaids, there was a division of labor. The fancy saloons were strictly for the ladies, while the rough-and-tumble bottle and jug departments were manned by barmen. However, in the roughest of pubs, the tables were turned and barmaids were being phased out in favor of their male counterparts. As one witness so eloquently put it,
"If you go into the department which has sawdust on floor and a spittoon in the corner, you will find a man serving. If you go into another, which has a cloth on the floor and a cushioned seat, you will find it is almost exclusively the case that a barmaid attends to that department."
And what a life it was for these barmaids. At least for the time, they had it all. Better working conditions, a classier clientele, and the chance to earn more with gifts and gratuities. They didn't have to lift a finger for heavy bar work, leaving that to the barman. Instead, they focused on running the bar with a great deal of independence, learning valuable business skills, and even rising up the ranks to become manageresses. One publican even testified to the trust they placed in barmaids, stating that it was a common practice for the most competent barmaids to be offered positions of authority. It seems that in the world of hotel hierarchies, the barmaids truly were the queens of the bar. A barmaid, upon her marriage, might even be invited along with her husband to manage a hotel. An apprenticeship in a high-class bar was a prerequisite for a career in hotel management. However, the same opportunities were not available for barmen. Meanwhile, other departments in the hotel industry did not have the same opportunities for career advancement, with waitresses being of a lower status and back-of-the-house employees being looked upon as domestic servants. So why did the bar take center stage in the hotel industry? Well, part of the explanation can be found in Victorian attitudes towards the provision of services, such as hotels. Despite providing valuable services like lodging, food, entertainment, and relaxation, post-industrial England placed little value on services and placed a high value on manufacturing. Hotels were once undervalued for their limited production, but little did people know about the hidden treasures in the kitchen and the bar. These 2 powerhouses were the driving force behind the hotel's economic contribution and, as a result, held a higher socio-economic status. The employees working in these areas were seen as wealth creators, with waitresses being the least fortunate due to their distant relationship with the production of food. On the other hand, the bar, with its tangible commodities, was seen as the ultimate king of the hotel industry. The bar and the kitchen were the only 2 areas in the hotel that faced resistance from women who sought to join the workforce. This was a man's world, and the first hotel schools in Britain offered bar management courses exclusively to men. But the barmaid problem finally found its resolution in 1908, when the licensing bill was defeated. The debate was no longer about labor rights, but about social and moral issues. The barmaid's morality was put under the spotlight, and the temperance movement played a crucial role in the debate. And that's the story of the barmaid in Victorian England. A woman who held a unique position in the hotel industry and who, despite facing social and economic limitations, managed to rise through the ranks and make a name for herself. With her ability to attract customers and provide vital services, the barmaid played a pivotal role in the growth of the hotel industry. Today, as we look back at the history of the barmaid, we can only marvel at her strength, resilience, and entrepreneurial spirit, which paved the way for future generations of barmaids. As an independent video maker with a passion for history, every like, subscribe, and share helps me bring you more informative and entertaining content like this. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to stay updated on all things history and nightlife related. Until next time, let's party.